In this module, we'll take a look at horizontal ground heat exchangers, and in the first part, we'll focus mainly on the type of heat exchangers and soil thermal parameters. So we can have different types of horizontal ground heat exchangers, like a straight horizontal pipe, a slinky or ring collector type, and a spiral or earth basket heat exchanger, which is buried in the ground at different depths. A horizontal or straight pipe heat exchanger is installed by excavation, or it can be installed by horizontal drilling. It usually comprises of one or more circuits per trench, and the typical depth is somewhere between 1.5 and 2.5 meters below surface. Typical length 15 to 50 meters, and the depth, of course, if you do horizontal drilling, can be a little bit deeper, let's say up to about 10 meters or so. Key construction parameters are the width, length, and depth of the trench, the distance between individual pipes in the trench, and also the distance between adjacent trenches. Here, an artist's impression of how they can be installed. We can have on the left parallel runs with a flow and return that are fairly close together. We can have the picture on the right, parallel runs with the flow and return more separated. And we could also have a system where the pipes run from one end of the trench to the other end of the trench, or drilled horizontally, and where they are connected, headed up at the different ends of the trench or of the horizontal drilling. A slinky or ring collector type, they're basically kind of rings which are laid flat in the ground in a vertical or horizontal position. And here also they are installed by excavation. Typical depth again 1.5 to 2.5 meters below surface, and length of the trench somewhere between 15 and 50 meters. Key construction parameters: trench width, length, and depth, obviously. But here we also have the distance between the adjacent rings, which we call the pitch. The distance between trenches is also important, but especially the overlap of the different rings, what we call the pitch, is an important consideration. Here an example of a demo site in Perugia, Italy, that we installed a ring collector for a European project, the GeoFit project, Sant Apollinaire. You can see that the rings here were connected to a kind of grid to have equal spacing and detailed topology, because it was a research project where we also had temperature measurements using fiber optic cables to get a good idea of the response, the thermal response of the field, and be able to compare it with the design calculations. Then the spiral or earth basket heat exchanger, like a stack of rings installed in dugout holes in the ground. They can also be installed in a horizontal way, so in slightly deeper duct trenches. And again, typical depth about 2.5 to 4.5 meters below surface. Key construction parameters: trench width, length, and depth. Obviously, also here the distance between the rings, the pitch. In this case, usually when they are vertical, the pitch is, let's say, fixed by a supporting structure, a strut, and the distance between adjacent earth baskets is, of course, also important. Example here, an installation in France, Bordeaux, where we installed an earth basket heat exchanger in the GeoFit project, also with fiber optic monitoring to assess the performance.